You're listening to the Rogers Waterfowl Podcast. This is Aaron Jones.
Chandler Smith here. Let's talk some waterfowl.
Probably my first encounter, let's call it, with Final Approach was at a sportsman show in Oregon, and I met Bill Saunders, who was selling calls at the time, and he had these blinds in the back of his booth, and I mean we've been hiding in cornfields in Pennsylvania for since I was a kid. And I saw that blind, and I was like, I gotta have that. That's like all the crap that we tried to do and put together and stay warm and stay dry and do everything. It was like staring at me in the aisle, and I didn't care. I didn't care what the price was. I didn't care anything. I just knew like I had to get that out of the shell. So I grabbed it right there, I bought it right there, and I ran to the truck, and I just went home, and I was telling all my buddies, like, you are not going to believe what I found today. So that was like my first, like I said, my first version, my first encounter, whatever, with Final Approach.
That was the first time you'd ever heard of it, seen anything about it, knew of it? Now before you saw this blind, what were you doing in the fields?
Oh, my
in
God.
PA?
Okay, so Pennsylvania cuts their corn really tall. The stubble's really tall, right? So,
Not bad for goose hunting.
Great for hiding, right? So, and this was before before they would mow everything or chisel plow or do nothing. Like they just leave it. So me and my brother and one of our friends who was older than us, his name was Booker. Booker was a character. So me, my brother, and Booker we'd goose hunt all the time. That was our gang, right? And we ran shell decoys, right? And then we also had 4 747 shells, right?
Nice big ones.
Giant ones, right? So what you would do is you would clear out a row of corn, like you would rake all the stubble back down to the dirt. You would lay plastic down almost like a really thick, like visqueen plastic, the real thick clear stuff. You'd lay that down. Then you'd lay the burlap down. Then you'd lay down and put your blind bag at your head, so you'd lay on that. And then you'd cover yourself with burlap and then throw corn on top and then put the 747 shell on your legs. And that was it.
Really?
Yeah. Snow, it didn't matter. Snow, we were using like white sheets, which, later to find out, all the UV, is totally different. And so whatever, we used anything we could. So that was like the first, and we did that since we were kids. And it worked.
What layout blind did you buy?
Oh, the Eliminator. Like that was it. Like that was it. There wasn't anything else out. Now later on, as I move all around the world and country and wherever I go, I get all the details on Ron Latshaw and Grants Pass, Oregon, and him having these slider blinds, they were called. This was before the Eliminator, and the slider blind was like a big wood blind, and you could slide down the cover and get up and shoot. And it was like
Really?
it was kind of like a coffin, and I don't know who. I guarantee somebody's got a slider somewhere. The original was wood and whatever else, so I don't know if anybody has a slider, but that'd be cool to see.
It'd be cool to see.
Because I never saw it.
You never saw it.
No, I just heard about it.
You heard about it.
Chandler?
Wood coffins that you slide the door open.
That is crazy.
Not fold them. They slide out like a window or something.
Yeah, and I mean there were so many stories about that, and Bill Saunders or Latchar, those guys, obviously that was the start of it. Bill was in pretty early with Ron, because Ron was in Oregon, Bill was in Washington guiding, and they had crossed paths somewhere, and then everybody kind of got in the picture and got with Latchar, because he had that idea, just totally changed waterfowl hunting on dry ground.
Oh yeah.
Oh, field hunting, never was the same.
No.
At all.
No.
At all. Chandler, who are we talking with today?
Mario Friendy from Final Approach. He's out here for waterfowl weekend from Oregon, from the West Coast.
The original FA stomping grounds.
I mean, this is surreal, basically. You know what I mean? From a brand that that really made my first real impact in hunting, like a product that really changed the way I hunted. I've gone full circle all the way around in the hunting industry and worked for a couple companies, and now I have the pleasure of working for Final Approach and kind of helping it move in a direction. It's, guys say I'm living the dream. You see them at a sportsman show or something, I'm living the dream, and they're basically like throwing shade on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, I am living it. Like, this is what I live for. This is it. Yeah.
That's cool. It's kind of the storyline between there and
crazy.
And you remember FA from 93.
I know
all the way till now.
I know every company that it was sold to and sold, you know what I mean? Like Ron. So history, if anybody out there doesn't know, or, it's hard to follow. Not everybody gets, the industry or was in the industry or even followed it. But so Ron Latchaw sold Final Approach to Kolpin Outdoors. Kolpin was making like some ATV accessories and some other stuff. So Kolpin Outdoors bought it. They were in Wisconsin. And Ron was still heading the company. He was in charge of the blinds, and then later when they got into Kolpin, they went into decoys and everything else. So it was more of an investment move. Ron still had a job. He was head of Final Approach, and they pushed it. And then they started getting all these guys on board, and Saunders was on board, Bill was on board, Sean Mann was on board, Jeff was on board, Foils was on board, and Grounds was right in there too. Grounds was on board. So I mean, you had the biggest names in the industry on that brand. So, and it was like going full speed. Now, take like 2 steps back, and you have Fred Zink, who was with Ron early as well. And I don't know the whole story or what happened, and Fred wanted to do his own thing or whatever happened, but so Fred splits, and he has his own company, and he's making calls and doing stuff, and all of a sudden he gets involved with Avery Outdoors, and now they're making layout blinds, which was once again right off of Ron's design. So then that whole chapter starts. You know what I mean? So then Kolpin had it, and they ran with it for a pretty good run. I mean, they added duck decoys, and they added goose decoys, and they added some accessories, and they really took the input of Saunders and Foils and Ground. You know what I mean? Products were being designed for those guys that they wanted. You know what I mean? Like what they needed. Like Foils wanted this. Grounds needed that. Sean Mann wanted, a lower blind to be in Canada. I mean, all this stuff started, and they were really humming and making stuff that everybody wanted and needed because everybody hunted different. The cool thing about it was Sean Mann's in Maryland. You got Grounds in Illinois, right? You got Foils. Well, Foils is Illinois too, so they're kind of in that. But Foils was going everywhere. He was hunting everywhere, and so was Grounds. And then you have Bill. You got Saunders way out west. So you had everybody. You had all parts of the country,
all styles of hunting,
everything. You name it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that was a huge deal. So you have Kolpin that makes its run, and then Kolpin gets sold to Bushnell, and Bushnell buys it, and then they do a bunch of stuff, and I believe that's when Latchaw started to get out of it, or he got his money and kind of was done with what was going on in that corporate style. And then when Bushnell took it, Jeff Foils was kind of he was like their go-to guy. He was like he really got pushed up. Him and then it was pretty much him and Bill Saunders were kind of the lead there. Grounds was kind of on and off doing his thing, and I think Sean Mann was kind of doing his stuff too. But then when you had foils, then John Vaca, who you guys know from over here, John was involved obviously the whole time with Jeff Foils, but then John was really instrumental in doing a lot of stuff with Final Approach at Bushnell, and those guys were hustling and doing their thing. And then, so there's another sale. Then Bushnell changes their name to ATK, which because they started buying other things, and that kind of starts into a conglomerate. So we're just going through, and every time through sale after sale, like things are changing and not being consistent and kind of getting
lost in translation.
Yeah, I don't want to say watered down, but a lot. I mean, listen, as soon as Latchaw was out, he was the mastermind. You know what I mean? He was the, like I call these guys mad scientists. I mean, you're in the lab and you're thinking of something, and who comes up with something like that? Like these guys do. So he's gone. So things just start drifting. So then ATK gets merged into Vista, which is a giant monster, outdoor group that has a ton of brands like Federal Ammunition, and just, oh my God, you name it. Like you guys know. Yeah. I mean, you guys could look it up. ATK owns an enormous amount of stuff. And they had Primos at the time as well. So they were trying to merge like Primos and FA together. So sometimes you would see like Primos on a box with FA on a box, you know what I mean? Like they were trying to blend like kind of the waterfowl stuff of Primos in with FA, so it was kind of mixed together. Like you'll see some green boxes somewhere that the Primos green, everybody knows it. So you'll see some of that stuff. So get us all the way up to closer to now. You're talking a couple years ago, and then they don't know what to do with FA, and I actually heard that they were looking for like a brand manager for Vista at the time for FA. And man, I was supposed to have a meeting at SHOT Show, which is our big trade show. And I go to the booth and I'm ready to go. I'm like dialed in. And the guy says, yeah, I don't have time today. And it seemed really weird. He kind of like brushed me off, and I was like, okay. And I had this set up for like, 2 months to meet him and like really go through this. I had a plan. I had all this stuff, what I wanted to do and take Final Approach back to where it was. And I had all this stuff in my head that I figured I could help with and do. And he just kind of like blew me off, and I was like, and it wasn't his fault. But what I found out like the next night at dinner with somebody else who was a great friend and kind of got the intel is that they were going to sell Final Approach. So he couldn't do anything. His hands were tied. So I was like, okay. So long story short about this stuff is that, it comes up for sale. It gets bought. I know the people who buy it. I send my resume. I call constantly. I email constantly. I beg, plead, borrow, whatever you want to do to get into this position, and luck has it, and here I am, which is bananas. And that's, like I say, living the dream. So,
wow. And that you kind of started on Final Approach in last October, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty fresh, all this that you talked about.
Listen, as soon as I started working, we were, already behind because, what everybody, I don't know if you can understand or not. You got to figure out like, hey, how come when I buy like my, like my brand new phone, like 5 minutes later, like the next new phone's out, I'm already behind. Like, cause they have that plan for like 2-3 years in advance. Mm-hmm. Well, this is no different. You're trying to figure out, new decoys or, change the blinds or come up with a new product. You got to be ahead of the game. So as soon as we started working, we were already behind. So we got a lot of good stuff coming this year for 19, 20. I can't wait for 20. Like, I can't wait for the next couple of years because we're really ready to grind and kind of get back to the roots, which was, we're making stuff for customers, hunters, die-hard guys who wake up like me, can't wait, the alarm goes off, I'm already up 5 minutes before, and my pants are on, and I'm gone. Like I'm going hunting. I can't wait. And those people that share that, like that's who this stuff is for. That's what we're making it for. We're not making, a skew is an item. It's called. We're not making an item so we can just make an item and make some money. Like that's not what this company started on, and that's not what we're trying to do.
And so your goal really is to not be the FA of the last 5 or 10 years. It's to be the FA
of
back
93.
From years and years ago, and kind of how it got started.
Yeah, innovation, making stuff that guys need and gals. Everything has changed. Like, what you need in the field to be a better hunter, more comfortable, concealed, dry, whatever you need. Obviously there's one guy out there probably that says, "Hey, I need you to make this." And it's like, yeah, we can't, because it's like in Oregon and Washington and a couple other places out the West, like there'll be some weird stuff that we do that nobody else does, but you can't make a product like that because you'll sell like 10 of them. You got to be cost effective. I mean, you can't do a mold, or you can't do something that not everybody's going to buy. So we're going to try to be as mass appeal as we can and do as much as we can for everybody out there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you're from the West Coast. You telling me stories about all the different styles of hunting, or they're just different.
No, it's crazy.
We're down here chasing puddle ducks, and we got decent sized honkers here in the middle of America. And you're over here on the West with
every kind of bird you can imagine.
You name it.
Weird. And I mean, tell us about that season, how it starts off, and
and the length of the season out there.
Let me preface this with. There's no more houses to buy in Oregon. There's no jobs. Don't come there. There's no ducks. There's no geese. You can't shoot an
there.
This sounds like a big windy, if you ask me.
You can't shoot an elk. You can't chase a turkey. There's no black-tailed deer. There's no mule deer.
Sounds really terrible.
Yeah, I was going to say
there's almost no white-tailed deer, but there's a little section down there.
Rains every day.
All pours. You'd hate it. So don't come. So anyway. That's my disclaimer. So the season starts. We have like an early goose. It's terrible. I think it's gone so far down because we don't get a lot of honkers anymore. And there's I don't know. Like around by me, it's totally gotten terrible. And down south, there might be some more. But say there's a couple big groups and a couple grinds, like 300 here, 500 there, whatever. I mean, you have the same 100 guys like chasing like 3 fields.
Really?
I mean, not that many, but it's not good. So September starts, and guys bang on September and get going, and that's cool. That's awesome. I wish it was better for a lot of guys, because it's it's dry out, it's nice out, and you can really smash 5. So that's fun. So that kind of goes through September, then it kind of dies off. And then, just the seasons, like the end of September, the end of August, archery deer starts, and then rifle starts, I believe the end of September. So then that kind of kicks off, and a lot of guys will do a lot of big game and then kind of get into waterfowl. But our season, like our duck season, will start. We don't have early teal or anything, but we'll start second weekend of October, and you'll shoot some local ducks for a while, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 if you're pushing it, and you can get a couple decent hunts in, and then kind of November hits, and we probably, if the season's going normal, we'll get our major wave of like the first wave of mallards like right before Thanksgiving, and it'll heat up. And the early season, we'll shoot some wood ducks, we'll shoot some teal. There might be some pintails around, maybe a couple of gadwall, maybe a couple of widgeon. You don't know. But the mallards will be, all be local at the start. So that kind of kicks off. And then there's 3 periods of goose because they chop it up. So the goose season's separate from the duck season. So the first period is only like 8 days long. And that happens like the last weekend of October, I think, and it's out. Comes in real quick and it's out.
Is it usually good?
It depends. It depends on how much is pushed down, because that's pretty early for the geese. I mean, we'll start seeing some birds come, but not a huge amount. So then you kind of go through there, and like I said, the mallards, you'll kind of get going at Thanksgiving pretty good, and then like this year, I think it's like the 23rd of November, the second period will start. And that's usually the period. And that goes long. That goes from like November 23rd this year. It goes like January 10th or 9th, somewhere in there. So that's a long stretch. And the beginning obviously is really good, but you can grind pretty good all the way through, and ducks get better as it goes. And it just depends. We'll get a lot of pintail and widgeon in like right around December and moving into Christmas, and then we get a lot more green-winged teal right at the end, and we'll get some, we get some really nice spoonies at the end, and I mean like wall hangers.
We don't get anything like that here. They come through, they look like the hens, basically. The drakes and
wall
hens.
Hangers.
It's super unfortunate.
And listen, like you go down the coast and shoot some coast birds, and I mean, cans, occasional redheads down there, tons of bluebills, scoters, the buffleheads. Like you can shoot a prime Drake bufflehead. I mean, the colors on that, is white as snow, and just, so, you never know what you're going to run into out by us. There's a lot of ducks that get lost and then all of a sudden fly the flyaway. No black ducks, but that's about the only thing that doesn't kind of skirt that way.
So then it gets on, you're in January, right?
Yeah.
And then you have is there a period where you were done for like a little bit?
Do you have like a split season or anything?
Yeah, there's 2 days. 2 days on the ducks. It happens in October, so they can match 107 days. They close it like on a Monday and a Tuesday, which nobody even cares.
No,
it's perfect. so then we go all the way to the last. It's usually the last Sunday in January or wherever that falls. Sometimes it's the 24th, and sometimes it's the 29th. It just depends on how it falls.
Mm-hmm. And that's for ducks.
That's for ducks. And then, like I said, about the 10th of January, goose is out. So third period of goose, which we call late goose, that'll start like the first week of February, and it'll go to the first week of March.
And you said there's no houses left in Oregon?
None. There's nothing.
The housing market's terrible.
We haven't talked about specs.
I wish we got a lot more specs, but we're starting to see some more. But the specs and the snows pretty much bypass us. Like they'll come down in September at night and just go right over us and head to Klamath Falls, which is southern Oregon, and then into Tule Lake, California, and then down to the Sac Valley. And listen, I can tell like when we're banging on birds, and all of a sudden it's starting getting stale and birds are moving out. I can pretty much get on the phone and call my buddy Steve, who's in Sac Valley, who runs Cupped Up Straps. I can call Steve and be like, hey, 4 days, like you better like work for the next 4 days and then get off for like the next 5, because you're going to, like, they're coming. And he always, like, the first time he did it, he's like, man, shut up. He's like, it stinks down here right now. We're not shooting anything. And, like, that was, like, on a Tuesday or Wednesday or something. He calls me Sunday. He's like, oh, we banged them today. We were just mashing. All, like, yesterday, he's like, I couldn't even call you yesterday because everybody was calling me. And I was like, bro, I told you they're coming. Like, I'm not joking. So we're pretty fortunate to to kind of have what we have. I guess that's what you get for dealing with the rain that we get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you're telling you have duck clubs that are maybe kind of normal for what people think about here, but you also have the Columbia River, which is some different style of hunting that's just kind of different on that coastal West Coast.
Yeah, you have the river systems. You have the river systems. You have, there's, everybody's idea of a duck club is, I don't know. I could tell you how the ones are out by me. Really, the duck club's out by us. It's like, we don't have a ton of property, so it's not like, hey, certain spots of Washington, Eastern Washington, and Eastern Oregon, you got a lot of property. But like the majority of the clubs up and down the I-5 corridor, which is, you're going from Portland up to Seattle and down back down, you're talking about a small piece of property that has, like my place is like 20, like the pond and everything, like up to the banks, it's like 22 acres. So 22 acres isn't a lot to just turn like 8 guys loose and let them go wherever they want, or they'll just kill each other, right? So the way we run it is, I have a set of blinds in the front of the property, which we hunt early. Then we move everybody to the middle section and hunt that for about a month or so. And then we move to the way back, and we're kind of moving as the birds move and as they feed through. So that's worked really good. But most of the clubs are like that and maybe have an option, but some maybe just have like a 10-acre piece.
Really?
And they have the blinds right there, and they don't move all year. So you got to like pull out the tricks.
That's what they got to deal with.
That's all they can do.
Look different, be different.
Right. I mean, you're basically just leasing a place to hunt that hole, and that's all they got. Mm-hmm. But some of the clubs will have, some dry ground where you can, goose hunt as well. And the farmers, I mean, you got to remember, or not remember, but I'll tell you, but just south of me, about an hour is like the grass seed capital of the world, almost the world is what I'm told. Yeah, all the grass seed that goes anywhere is down south of me. It's grown. It's they clean it. They have all these mills to clean them and all these. It's a cool process, but they clean the grass seed and mix it, send it out. So I mean that's where they're growing everything. So the farmers down there, I mean, the geese pay hell on them, and those guys want them
gone.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, you're getting calls in like April. Can you come shoot them? Like, I can't, bro. I can't help you.
Can't do a thing.
Believe me, I'd love to.
Yeah. And your geese you're telling us is mainly lessers.
Yeah, lessers. I mean, really what's changed in the last few years is we would get a pile of lessers, and we'd get a lot of cacklers. But now it seems like the cacklers are just taking over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And anybody who like I just saw somebody the other day post something and said, "Oh, I shot one of those cacklers in like Illinois, or I shot it in Iowa." Like, there's a Richardson, which would come down this slot, and a Richardson is the smallest subspecies of a Canada goose for this flyway, right? But a cackler is only coming out of Alaska and sliding through the I-5 corridor. And it pretty much stops in the Willamette Valley, which I'm in, and goes back up. It doesn't go to California. You'll have some other geese that look like that slide down to Chico and down that way. But as far as a cackler, like if you don't shoot one in the I-5 corridor in Oregon or Washington, you're not shooting one.
Now, for people who don't know, they're not much bigger than a big mallard, are they?
No, I mean we've shot them as big as a widgeon, and we're like, oh my god, that one's got eggshells on it still. You know what I mean? It just kind of, I mean, but that was late season. Yeah. I mean, I'll have to dig up that picture. And actually, we shot that. That's funny that you say that. We were just talking about Bill before. We were on a hunt with Bill, with Saunders, and I'm trying to think of. I don't know if we were Travis Reese or I don't know who we were with, but I remember Bill holding his traffic call next to the cackler, and you're like, oh my God, that's little. That's how little it was. It was crazy. That was the smallest one I've seen. And so yeah, they get really, really small, and that you go to bed at night and your head just hurts from listening to them and you calling and everything else, because it's not any close to anything. It is a peep. It's not a honk or nothing. It's not. And we have 7 subspecies by us, and one you can't shoot. So you got to be informed or you get a ticket.
Go through all those.
So Vancouver is the biggest, and some guys like in Michigan will call it like a giant. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Ours is a Vancouver, and then you have your Westerner or Western. Vancouver, Western. You go to like your lesser. And then your dusky, and I'm trying to come down in size. Sometimes they're bigger, smaller. Taverner, cackler. And then if you go all the way down, I can't think of the ones they get in California right now. I don't know why that's slipping my mind, but they'll have a big white ring on their neck. And I'll think of it as we're going. But the dusky you can't shoot. Gotcha. And it's just darker than all the other birds. Everything looks the same everything. I mean, this is it. Just go up in size, down in size. Now the cackler, I'm showing a decoy. If you guys are just listening, I'm just saying they all look exactly the same. Body, black head, white cheek patch. That's it. You just go up in size, down in size. The dusky's darker on the chest, and like super dark. Like there's almost no break line from the neck to the chest, but the chest is brown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it looks so dark, it looks black, and they're just so dumb. That's the bad thing. They are absolutely not intelligent.
Oh, they love to be friendly. They love to come check you guys out.
Oh my God. And listen, before 2 years ago, you had to take a test. You still have to, but you take a test on identifying geese. They used to have different times to shoot than regular. Like, so say ducks open up at 6:50, right? Shoot time 6:50. Goose would open at 8. It was 8 to 4.
To identify.
To identify.
Yeah.
That had to be torture.
Oh, bro.
Oh, man.
Because I know how it is. A lot of times, like even during teal season, you have to wait till sunrise instead of 30 minutes before for identification. And of course, you're covered up in teal before that. So I can only imagine waiting till 8 o'clock. All the birds are pretty much gone.
Listen, all the guys, if anybody's listening in the Willamette Valley, they know the struggle. Like, and this was the move to have as good a decoys as you could have, because you would have birds in the decoys for a half hour or 40 minutes. Like, if you could pull that off.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're sitting there going, oh, my God, just hang around 5 more minutes. Just hang around 5 more minutes. You're like, oh, my God, it's 7:58. We're almost there. And then all of a sudden, somebody gets an itch, and they all get up, and you're like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's happened.
Oh, yeah.
It's happened to everybody. Or you land them at 7:30, and the decoys aren't good enough, and they look around, and they're like, something's a little fishy here, folks. Let's go. And out they go. You know what I mean? So that's happened too. So, we've had our struggles. And then, so once you had to take a test, so, okay, we go on a goose hunt in the Willamette Valley a few years ago when they had this. Everybody shoots their geese, whatever. You have to write it down what time you shot it on a card, on a harvest card. You shot it down, what you shot, put it in your pocket. Next one, you shoot, whatever the case may be. So if you get to your 4, you're tagged out. Everybody say, we pack up, we go. We got to go to the nearest check station and check them in. And what they're going to do is they're going to measure the bill. They're going to check the breast color, and then they measure the leg. Well, they sex them. They check the sex, and then they measure from like the knee. On us, it would be like the knee to the ankle joint, just to see. I think that helps them on either. They want to get some averages on, I think, on sex and size, and you know what I mean, is the male, like they're just trying to get some size measurements. So after you do that and everybody checks you out, and the Fish and Wildlife guys, all good, he gives you a new card and off you go. No problems. Now, if you're at the check station years ago, if you're at the check station and you got a bird that maybe the bill's in that range, but the chest isn't, he's kind of giving you I don't know if I'm going to call the state police, the stater, to come and give you a ticket, or I don't know, or if he gives you the hold on, then it's coming, right? And then you got to fight. You got to, especially if you're on the hinge, you know what I mean? You're like, because the bill length never lies, right? And because the breast color could be different.
Sure. Well, we see that with mallards here. I mean, good Lord.
But but the bill, you're always trying to go by the bill, because that usually, never lies. Because, and listen, there was Duskies mating with Westerns that they were calling Wuskies with a W, right? And they were trying to collar all of them. They were trying to put white collars on them. And guys, would shoot a pair, one with a collar, one without, and then they were getting a ticket for the one without. But they came in together. You knew what they were. They were bred from a Western and a Dusky, and the chest was a little chocolatey, and the bill was right on, but they had collared one, but they didn't get the other one collared. So, I mean, so all through that, they got rid of the check stations a couple of years ago, and now if you shoot a Dusky and you get caught, you just get a flat ticket. That's it. Now, before, if you got caught with one, they took your goose card, and you were done hunting geese for that year. You got to retake the test.
Retake the test.
So it was like, oh my God. So
you didn't lose.
Or I've never
didn't lose your goose card.
Yeah. I've seen guys. Listen, one of our buddies like was in the check station, like literally, like I want another stater to come, like, and he fought it and he won. Like it was not. The bill was not even close. The chest color was on, and that's what I said. He stomped his feet and. They let him off on that. And he should have never, because as soon as we shot it and we got it to the blind, it came in, there was all lessers. There wasn't anything else in there. And there was a bunch of taverners in there. And it was one of the taverners. It was super dark. And he shot him, and we shot a couple more, and we're like, yeah. And it's like, oh my God, that one is like black. You know what I mean? But the bill, like I said, the bill doesn't lie. So.
Gotcha.
So it's an interesting area. So everybody's got their challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we got some stuff on the table in front of us here.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to talk about it. We got some new stuff.
Yeah, we've been talking about some geese. We got some new geese.
You guys just got them in.
Yeah, there's a lot more. Tell us a little bit about what these are and what's coming in and
what changes got made.
So I'll start on the decoys. So like the main thing on the decoys is we didn't have a chance to update the carvings or do like a major, retool, let's call it. So the best thing we can do for this year was we upgraded the plastic and upgraded the paint scheme. If you've had some FA decoys in the past, the best thing that I could say is they've absolutely been durable paint-wise. You know what I mean? Listen, there's some batches that were made in a couple different factories on some of the changes, when it went from company to company that, wasn't good. What are you going to do? I can't correct any of that. That was in the past. But I can tell you now, the paint scheme is a lot more lifelike. The colors, the plastic, the paint adhesion, everything on that right now is as good as we can get it on that carving.
Well, right out of the gate, I'm picking them up, and I noticed they're a lot lighter.
They're a ton lighter. Absolutely. And so that's the change in the plastic. Yes, okay. That's the change in the plastic.
And I wouldn't say that they're like a super soft decoy, but they definitely have some give to them. So they're not like a super crazy, insane hard.
So guys, if you're listening to this, if you're wanting to jump, we'll have a video version. You can look at exactly what we're talking about. So if you're listening, you go back, fast forward, maybe, I don't know what we had, 40 minutes roughly somewhere in there, and check out some of these lessers. We're holding the active and a feeder and all that, just new paint.
You could squeeze them, and you got a little bit of give there, and I wanted a little bit of give, so if you're throwing stuff in the trailer or in bags and they're bouncing off each other, you do have enough give, but I didn't want to put a lot of give in there, so you got dents and you're trying to pop them out or anything else. Like, we're just trying to be as durable as we can. And on this carving and what we can do, I think we did pretty good. I mean, when you see these next to the old ones, it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, they look very realistic.
Yeah, yeah, we did pretty good. Now the specs.
So you revamped the lessers here, and then you revamped specs as well.
Yeah. So the thing we did on the specs is we actually went to we got a new head carve. Well, there's 3 different heads we had carved to fit those, because like the older ones, I get it. You're just trying to go and save money and do what you can. Molds for everything, for bodies, heads. I mean, everything costs a fair amount of money, and if you don't want to spend it, you just kind of sit on it and make what's due. So the lessers were the same as the specs. They, unfortunately, they had the cheek patch kind of carved in them, and the new spec heads, they don't have that. I mean, it is a true spec head that we could fit on this decoy, and we got it. We got it dialed in, and the paint looks pretty good. We didn't change much on this paint. I kind of thought we were looking okay there, so I didn't want to make crazy advancements there. So,
but you changed the plastic like you did in the lessers.
Correct. All the plastic this year. All the plastic is just like I said, a mix, a little bit softer.
Steal that one.
Yeah, and and upgraded the paint on most of them too. This one we didn't, but we did upgrade the head on this on the spec. So there's just a couple things. We're just trying to get a couple things done before we really go into a big, retool come 20 and 21 and, down, in the future as we go. We did do a new stake system. So it's a little easier to manage because everything was on
bases
stands. Yeah. So, we went to a stake system to just kind of get some more motion and, heck, you can grab these decoys and pull them right out with the stake on. You could push them in the ground with the stake on. They're pretty tough. So I'm happy with the toughness of it and the durability. So, but that's always been.
Yeah, the fiberglass stake's not metal and won't bend.
Right.
So,
right.
Metal bases sometimes you run them, step on them, run them over, or something like that. You bend them, you got to bend them back. They're never quite the same.
Yeah. And there's a hook there for the bungee to kind of keep that going, and you got your movement and, your legs, let's call it. So that's what went through there. The honkers.
I'm excited to see the honkers. We haven't received them in yet, but they're coming.
Yes. So we're calling them the 8, just the HD, the old last pass honker full bodies and the floaters. Just an updated, plastic paint. The scheme, the honkers did a little different base. We did, kind of a square base, but kind of a bar running through the middle. That seems to stabilize a little bit better, and also having that middle bar come through, it kind of gives the stake that's coming up a little more
rigidity.
Yeah, not wobble as much.
Sure.
Because you're talking about the biggest decoy, no matter what company, you're talking about the heaviest, the biggest decoy. Mm-hmm. So, that's putting some pressure on that, especially if the wind's blowing and what's going on. So,
well, and the square bases seem to hold up a little bit better in wind too.
There's no doubt that when the corners bite. Listen, there's other companies that have the square bases, and I hate doing something that somebody else has done or copy or do whatever, but at least we kind of put our own spin on it, and we did something for a reason. When you slid that bar through, and that's the reasoning for it. So, we don't want to be. We don't want to be a copycat, and this, some stuff's just going to happen sometimes.
Well, sure.
Unfortunately, I don't like doing that.
So you revamped all the geese, or you revamped the honker, the lesser, the spec, the goose floater.
The
HD goose,
the HD goose floater,
sure, not the standard floater, which is that's the number one seller for everybody.
Absolutely,
we didn't touch that because that thing's bulletproof. We didn't even bother with that.
Yeah, it's a great price point. It's a little bit smaller goose, just one
non-flocked head, but other than that,
right.
Yeah.
But you fill them, you use them as fillers, I've seen them. We flocked head on some, and they look great when you start flocking heads on them, like ourselves, and just a good old skew.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is a great item.
And since they're a little smaller, you can grab a ton of them.
Yeah, a lot of guys in our area here, they they have the little duck spread, then they buy a 6-pack of those FA.
It looks killer. Yeah,
they
for
throw
confidence.
them out to the side.
Sure. Yeah. Confidence or anything else. So, I'm trying to think of what else. The only other decoy that's not here yet, that's coming, I think, on a couple containers soon, is the mallards.
I'm stoked to see those.
And we updated the paint scheme, the paint, and the plastic as well on the mallard floaters. So this will be the live series mallards. They're coming.
And those are kind of off the old Life Crafts. They've just been revamped.
Yes,
again.
Pretty much. And we wanted to label everything, on where we want to go in the future here. Pat Godden, who's now 16-time world champion carver, carved those, and it's just a sweetheart of a carving and a decoy, just awesome. And Pat's just such a good dude, and we wanted to kind of give him justice on the paint job, because the paint job wasn't justice before. I know, listen, you think about it, you work on something for a couple 100 hours or whatever, and then you send it off and get it molded, and the mold looks awesome, and all the details in there, and then you get a paint, and you're like, oh, crap. Yeah, that's not cool. So, and I've had that conversation with Pat and a couple other carving guys. It's tough. That's a tough one to bite. One thing I will say, so everybody out there, gets it. Like the biggest thing is if you see the blue logo, I mean, this is the biggest change. If you see the blue FA logo, it says FA Final Approach. You see that means it's new.
That means it's been revamped. It's coming for 2019.
Reworked,
yeah. It's
anything in the red boxes or the green boxes or any boxes you
or
see.
the tan boxes.
Yeah.
White boxes.
Yeah. Anything you see is old. It's just an older SKU. And listen, we you guys have a lot of stuff that you're getting rid of. That's old stuff. That's still great stuff.
It is, absolutely.
I mean, and we got some killer this deals. Weekend, like the killer prices on stuff. My God. Mm-hmm. So there's an awful lot of stuff to go through. The new decoy boxes, we didn't really waste. Like, I'd rather save our money and put it into the decoys. Like, really, the boxes just have FA stamped on them, and it'll just tell you what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to yank them out of the box, come see them at the store. Like, come on.
Jump on YouTube
exactly.
or
we'll have
media whenever we have the videos up.
Yeah, and we'll have a ton of pictures and everything.
I get that because, and I can respect that as a consumer, as a customer. Why add $3 to $5 or however much to make a really cool graphic on the outside of the box? Why not just do a brown box and roll that savings into the consumer, the final user, and save them $3 to $5 for however much a printed box costs?
Yeah, because I'd rather take that $3 to $5 and put it in a fund and make a new mold, or get something that everybody needs. You know what I mean? Like, let's use our money wisely. Let's do something. So, and listen, for the amount of online sales that you guys do, and when people come in the store and what's going on, like, they know what they want to buy, or if they want to see something, they want to open it up, they just open it up. Mm-hmm. You can see all the pictures online.
Videos that we do.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't have to catch your eye in the store. You know what I mean? The product's sitting out, it looks cool, you're going to gravitate to it. Like, if however old you are, whichever part of Final Approach you grew up going through, I hope you went through a good portion of it, because that's where we're kind of going back to. If you were in the great portion way ahead, like at the beginning, like that's where we're going.
Yeah, something in the back here that you talked about right at the beginning, and I think I don't know if anybody's noticed the camo pattern on the right. So what do we have against the wall there?
It's mine. Oh, I love it.
Listen, the flagship blind for this company, the flagship SKU, the item that changed the waterfowl world was the Eliminator, okay? When that was made, and I believe Ron's wife sewed the first bunch of them, like herself.
Really?
No kidding. And like I have my original Eliminator is older than my kids, and it's in my shop, and no BS. It's in original Shadowgrass, and it sits in the shop, and I have Raffi on it, and I use it whenever I need to. And it's still, there's no rips in it, there's no tears in it, like there's no bent bars, like it is a stud. So we wanted to kind of go back to where we were, like I said. So this is in original Shadowgrass. It is the pattern. I'm on the Mossy Oak Pro staff. I've been affiliated with Mossy Oak for like 16 years. I don't know. It seems like forever, and the first question I get, no matter what show or where I'm at, is, oh man, you guys should bring back old Shadowgrass. That was my favorite. I had a jacket, or I had a hat, or man, I had this, or I had that. And that to me is, and when we got the sample in and I looked at it, I was like, we gotta order more, because I'm telling you, I mean, you guys look at it.
It's amazing. It looks amazing.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I just like something a little bit more contrasty, a little bit more darker, because I'm putting lighter grass on it potentially, or I'm on the side of a pond where I need to put dark greens, or who knows. It's just it's a different look. It's not, you don't have to mud it down. I mean, it looks, the material and the darkness looks, great.
It looks badass. Like I'm so happy that looks the way I knew. I was hoping that it was gonna. I knew it would look like that, because that pattern is just so. That pattern kicks ass.
Well, and there's probably some young guys listening that are not familiar with this pattern. So and if you're not watching, if you're just listening, it's basically the bottomland pattern with then grass over the tops.
Right. That's how they made that, right?
But it's not heavy grass. It's just kind of here and there. So it's dark, but it's got some hints of highlight coming through, and it looks awesome. It absolutely looks awesome.
Listen, that pattern has probably been involved in so many. There's so many bodies on that pattern. You know what I mean? From jackets to blinds to bags to guns. You know what I mean? I mean that pattern has helped pile a lot of birds.
Yeah.
So
that blind's called the Eliminator.
That's right.
And it's full frame, just built after the original Eliminator.
I mean, that's it. That's the flagship one. That is the blind that everybody gravitates to. There's a ton of room in it. It still seats pretty low, and it just, man, you could just grind them in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. Now,
what's the one next to it?
So the one next to it and a step up in size will be the Pro Guide XL. Yeah, I mean, listen, my problem by me is I don't have, we're usually limited in what we're hiding in. So I have an XL, but I haven't really used it that much because I just don't have the places. And to be honest, I get in there and I'm swimming. I'm not a little guy, but I'm just not. I get in there and even with Money, like me and Money get in there and he gets behind the headrest is where I put the dog. It's like I got too much room. So this is full frame, just like the Eliminator, a little bit bigger, lots of room. If you're a bigger guy, I love it. Get in there. You know what I mean? That's for you. I mean, that is absolutely for you. You got a big dog, that's for you. Like if you want to put them in the blind with you, this blind has a ton of room. If you want to teach your kid how to shoot and you want to send them in the blind with you, that's it right there.
That's probably the biggest blind we carry, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think at one time we carried some two-man layout blinds, but I don't think we do anymore. But
those went away pretty quick.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you could sit your daughter or son right in the middle there in front of you and open the doors up for them and just come up and get them going in the tradition. That'd be awesome. So once you go XL, you come down to the Eliminator. The next one is the SUB, and that's full frame up front. Nothing down by the foot bag, so you can fold it up, pack in, flatten it out, throw it in a truck, a flatbed, into the back of a pickup, and it fits. I mean, you can go that route with that one. That, out of everything, that's the most versatile blind for me because I can get that blind anywhere. I can get it on the side of a pond. I could shoot a fence row with it. I can that to me. Like, listen, the Eliminator is my favorite, hands down. It is awesome, but I can't use it everywhere I go just because of the size. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we got to put 8 guys on a fence row, and everybody's got to be, literally blind next to blind next to blind. I mean, when you flip your doors over, you're hitting his doors. I mean, we're tight because we don't have that much space. So we're usually running SUBs, and we're running them all tight. And so that's the most, that's the most efficient for me. Once you come down from the SUB, you get to the Xlander, which is, I remember when Ron, that was the second blind that came out. I mean, he wanted something that was like low profile and the lowest. And I remember I had one, and it was in old Shadowgrass. I remember that very, very well. And you could put it in a field and be so low and so hid, it was just dirty. You know what I mean? You can get into a crop field that didn't have really high grass, and you could just disappear. Plus, you could pack it in anywhere. I mean, you can go anywhere with that because it folds all the way down.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I've still got an Xlander from, it's in Max 4, and I want to say I probably got it in like 2007. So it's going on
doubt, right in there.
12 years ago. Yeah. Long time ago.
Yeah. And then you go to the Express, which is really just, a backrest that you could pack down so small, and I mean, you could hike that in for miles if you had to go somewhere and literally get in and throw some grass on it. It has no real frame. It's almost like a sleeping bag with just a backrest, and you could just, forget it.
Yeah. Side of a pond, those things are dirty because they're just nothing.
And what we wanted to go back to is, this is what the company was built on. So we're making sure that all the blinds, all the aluminum, everything we're using is upgraded to the standards that it was before. So there's no issues. And some guys are going to break them. And, you stand up and on the bars we're working on a couple things to make some stuff sturdier and whatever we're trying to do. But right now, I'm feeling really good about the blinds that just showed up.
Sure.
Like super excited. And the rest of the blinds are in shadowgrass blades. Only the eliminators in old shadowgrass. Maybe we'll have a little something for you for.
I was going to say, yeah. Can we expect any other changes there?
Maybe we'll have a little something for Christmas or something for you. I'll see what I can figure out. But
okay.
But one thing to talk about too is I'm going back to roots once again. We started with mossy oak. We've always been a 2 camo company, kind of going back and forth. I've been always affiliated with mossy oak, so we really did an exclusive this year with them, and we're hoping to just build that relationship and go that route. So everything you'll see this year is in a mossy oak pattern.
Cool. Yeah. Love it. So we've talked about geese, we've talked about ducks, we've talked about blinds. What else can we talk about?
Listen, we got some accessories. You guys just got the bags in, the decoy bags. We're not trying to be too crazy. We're just trying to have bags for, the duck hunters, the goose hunters, nothing nuts, 6 slot, 12 slot, honker bag, lesser bag or spec bag, floater, you can throw your floaters in the 6 slot bag. That's mid-sized goose. Obviously the 12 slot for the ducks. So we're just trying to build some durable stuff. And, we want enough stuff that people can represent the brand in it.
Sure.
And if we can, if you left Final Approach because stuff was bad, I'm just telling you, we're absolutely coming back for everybody that rep that brand and wore a hoodie. And, before hoodies were cool, you know what I mean? And before all this stuff was cool, like this company was the start.
Sure.
We got some, the Texas rigs came out super cool. Like I said, you see the blue logo.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you see the blue, it's new.
Coated steel, coated egg weight, which I think is great.
Everything's coated on it.
On the back of the package, you read that you got coated steel and then coated egg weight to protect your decoys.
So you're not, exactly.
If you're having to carry them around and stuff, that the lead not coated could bang off paint and stuff.
Yeah, so we're doing everything we can to kind of, do our spin on everything, and this has been in the line. Like I didn't change that. I won't take any credit for that. So,
but that's good.
But it's
good
solid.
Decoy line.
It is.
Texas rig for
sure.
And
there's a couple different things. Listen, I'm not, and listen, I want everybody to understand. I'm just working as hard as I can for the company and doing, what I can do. In no way, shape, or form is this an I company. There's a lot of people putting a lot of time into this. I'm just the biggest mouth, so I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm the yipper.
But the one that's actually gaining most celebrity status would be money.
Yeah, my dog is,
he's the star of Final Approach.
Bro, he's at home right now. He doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you go to Kansas City, you sell something. I don't need to do anything. Yeah, bro, he's
exactly. He's the star.
Yeah, he's a pecker.
Yeah.
No, listen, old money. Money's gonna be money just turned this past month. Just turned 12. It's bananas.
Yeah,
and he's still got lots of fire. Listen, I've been fortunate enough to have, like a couple great dogs, and it sucks when they go. And they don't live as long as people. Like I truly like him more than a lot of people.
I guarantee there's
I do.
A lot of people who agree with that there's dogs they like a lot more than people. Nobody's going to disagree with you for that one.
He's been awesome. He's a clown. They all have their own, personalities and what they do. I remember my dad's first dog. Oh my God, we were kids and we pheasant hunted a lot in Pennsylvania, and because my dad loved it, that was like my dad's thing. Like he took us duck hunting a ton. Didn't really goose hunt with my dad. Me and my brother really kicked that off. But on the pheasant side, like my dad was just the best way I can explain it is our dog was named Spade, like Ace of Spades, like on the cards, and he was just a fiend for pheasants. And like me and my brother would be like trekking. My brother's 2 years older than me, and we'd be like, "Oh my God, Dad, we're tired." Like we're not even hunting yet, right? We don't have guns. We're just like with my dad. And then and this would happen whether we were, 8 years old and humping with no gun, and then like 14 and humping a gun and don't shoot anything, right? And we're both tired, and we're like, we're gonna sit here and just take a rest. All right, you guys sit there. I'm gonna just work this field with the dog, and I'll come right back, bro. As God is my witness. Every single time we sat our ass down, my dad would walk through a field and shoot a rooster. Really? It was, bro, I already knew what was going to happen. I already knew. So then if we said we were tired taking a break, like I didn't say, I know you're going to shoot when I'm going to go with you. I know I was going to sit down and watch my dad and Spade work through this field and shoot a rooster and come back. It was automatic. I don't know what it was. I'm telling you. If my brother was here, he'd do the same thing. He'd say, every time we sat down to eat something, get a drink, take a break, my dad would shoot something. Automatic. And that dog he was great on ducks. He was a fiend on pheasants, like nobody's business. So that was the first dog. The second dog, I'm trying to think. So we went Spade. Smokey was the second dog. Spade was small, was like 60. Smokey was like 90, like through ice.
Now, what type of dogs are we talking about?
All black labs.
All black labs.
Listen,
okay.
There's only one color for me, bro. I don't know, and I don't know girls. Like I'm a male black lab guy. Like that's my partner, that's my buddy, that's it. So Smokey was the second dog, and he was the same way. He was incredible on pheasants. He was awesome on big honkers because he was a big dog. He was great on ducks. But the other thing, he was such a pecker when he saw another animal. Like Thanksgiving morning, I'll never forget. I was like a junior or sophomore in high school. We'd hunt every Thanksgiving morning. We'd go pheasant hunting or duck hunting or whatever. We were duck hunting. We were hunting Thanksgiving morning no matter what. And he finds a skunk.
Oh.
And a skunk comes running, right? And what does he do? He can't leave it alone.
No.
He's got to go get it.
Never leave it alone.
And the bad thing is the skunk got to the hole and got in the hole. And he grabbed him right as he was getting in the hole and had to go down the hole after him. And that's when he got lit up. And
there's no getting that smell.
Bro.
Out of it.
And at this time, my dad owns a panel van, okay, for work. So guess what? There's no throwing them in the pickup, bro. It is me, my brother, my dad in the panel van with the dog. And
how'd your eyes not water? How did you keep the van on the road?
The heat was on full blast because we're talking Pennsylvania Thanksgiving. It was raining that morning, but it was like, I bet you it was like hovering at like 38, 39. It was cold, right? We're cold, we're wet, windows down all the way, and the heater at like 9,000 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, full blast.
And then like every couple minutes, I can't, you can say whatever you want on a podcast, but every couple minutes, I'm not going to say it, but every couple minutes, my dad turns around and is just cursing the dog out. So we get home, and of course, my mom's like, she's on fire too. So that was like, I will say this, that was the only couple nights that the dogs that I've owned ever slept outside, ever. Because they were always house dogs. They were always they were always family, in the house, the whole deal. And I gave him a bath in you name it, all that crap that they say.
Oh.
Orange juice, lemon juice, tomato juice, this soap, that soap. Man, I swear it was getting worse. I was like, I just looked at him and I was like, and listen, I was the dog lover from the start. I checked on him a couple times that night. I go out and see him. I go, bro, you screwed up today. Like, I don't know what to do for you. So, so then we went him, Smokey. Then I got my mom and dad a dog that my brother had, and then my next dog was Onyx. Was my next dog, and that was, oh my God, I got him for like nothing, like $250 out of some litter, and trained him, and he just turned into like a machine.
Really?
And I bet you. And that was the time when I was in the duck club, and I got in there, and there was a lot of guys and no dogs really. There was like only one other dog or so. So he had, I was trying to calculate, somebody was talking about this the other day, and I bet you he had, he probably hunted the club probably 6 years or 7 years. I mean, I guarantee you he had 6,000 plus birds, on him. It was insane. And I don't even know what Money has. I should have kept track or whatever, but Money's got ridiculous amount of bodies on on him that he's brought back. I don't even know. It's crazy.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Money is Mario's dog. It's his sidekick in all the videos with him. Pretty much steals the show in the videos because he's always smiling, licking, rolling around, sleeping, doing something.
Oh my God! The best one was I was cutting. I was filming, one of the FA Fridays or something, and Money's sitting next to me, and we're talking, and I'm pet Money, and I'm talking to him, and bro, he just gets up and just walks away like, I'm so not interested in this, yeah, I'm out. And I was like, I looked at him, I was like, what are you doing? Like, you just walked off. Like, I understand you don't understand, but like, you
can't walk off set here.
Yeah, what are you doing, bro? Like, so he's a clown, dude. He's good with the kids. Everybody in the neighborhood loves him. Everybody sees him. He's just a lover. He's awesome. So yeah. And everybody that has a dog, no matter what they have, they know what I'm talking about. So
absolutely. We're all dog people here too.
Yeah. So what we got in front of us is something that I swore I would never do again.
You can't. Every time you swear you'll never do something again, guess what always comes back around? Yeah.
So, a little background on me, on where I worked before. I started working in the outdoor industry for Buck Gardner, and was pro staffer for Mossy Oak at the time. And then I went from working from Buck to working with Fred Zink at Avian-X and working for Fred. And then we got bought by Plano Synergy. And then lots happened and budget cuts, and ended up losing my job. And then, working towards Final Approach. So I did calls with Buck. I did calls with Fred. And I just didn't want to do calls again. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in the call game again. And then, everybody at Final Approach is like, yeah, let's do that. I'm like, all right. So one thing we did do is we're always working on something for, we're trying to get the best price for the customers. We're trying to get the best product. There's nothing groundbreaking on these calls. There's nothing. The only thing is it's like a poly call. It's an inexpensive call. It's a different material. It's a poured material. They call it a cold mold material. The temperature, anything weather-wise won't affect it. Okay, so it's in that regards, it's like a polycol, but it's a little more durable. You get a better sound. You don't get that tinny polycarbonate sound out of it. So basically, we did a couple different duck calls in different colors. We did just two. We did an open bore, like a soft bore, we call it, which is a little tighter, doesn't take as much air. And we have a wide bore, which if you really want to step on it, both of them are double reeds. And we did a couple different colors. We thought we did some cool colors because of the way you can do these calls. They kind of look, like a mix, like a I don't even know how you. I don't know.
A swirled like
like a swirl. So I mean, we have an orange swirl, like a black, like there's an ivory. There's just a couple different. We'll have all the pictures up on the site here pretty quick because these just got done. So the spec call is probably my favorite just because it looks like a spec chest. It really does. It looks like bars.
It's black and gray.
And it's got a little orange in it.
With the logo.
Yeah, I mean, that thing's money right there. I like that. Yeah. The snow call's cool.
I do like the snow call
too.
It's
like
cool.
a white, it's like an ivory with like a gray swirl in it. So we're not trying to ground break anything. We just have Canada Goose call. One Canada Goose call, a spec call, a snow call. We did a 6-in-1 whistle. The whistle's totally different, not totally different, but at least it looks a little different than, same thing that everybody's had out. And like I said, we just did, two duck calls. Yeah, an open and a closed bore. So you kind of get, a loud one. Both are double reeds. So, I mean, and we're kind of hovering right at that, $59, $54 range. Somewhere in there. They might be on sale this weekend. I think we're going to kick some on sale. If you come to the store, you want to take a look at them, they're in there.
So they're better than just your standard poly call, but they're not as high end as like an acrylic.
Absolutely.
They're kind of in that middle of the road, so they're a little more affordable than a lot of acrylic calls for a lot of guys that don't have $150 to drop on a call.
Right. It's a tool. It's gonna last. You know what I mean? The cool thing about the duck calls is there's a couple of different reeds that come in there. So your bottom reed of the double reed, you can change that. There's 3 different versions of that, thicknesses or lengths, and the way they're set up. I mean, we went through them all. Everybody that blows a duck call should be able to pick one of those that's their favorite. Should be really simple. I mean, usually you just get a call at this price range and there's nothing really to it. You just get it, and if you don't like the way it's tuned, then you fling it in the drawer or you sell it. This is kind of a little kit that I'm hoping when you get it, you could pick one of these reeds and be real happy with it. The other thing is, if you're a single reed guy, you could take that double top off and it'll run. I've ran it a couple different ways, so you can run the living heck out of it as a single as well. You just got to pick the right reed so you do it. The only thing I'll say on the calls, which is cool, the way that these calls are mixed and poured and the way it comes out and the way it looks, every call of whatever color, like say the orange one, every one of them is different. Like you will not have a call. I mean, obviously the black one or the gray one, like you don't get that much of a swirl, so it is what it is. But if you get one of the swirl ones, I guarantee you're pretty much getting one of a kind because they do not come out even close.
No, they don't.
To, nothing about them is similar. So, like the spec calls, like I was ripping through the spec calls and I was like, that one looks good. I was like, oh, that one. I was like, yeah, that one might be going with me. So there's a couple that just will blow your mind. So the cool thing about that is, you're getting a one-of-a-kind call. I mean, everybody's going to have one, but it ain't going to look like anybody else's, no doubt. So there's lots coming. There's more stuff coming in this year that we're excited about that you guys will have. There's a couple new bags that are coming. I can't wait to do the videos on those when they come in. Those I'm really excited about. I can't wait for everybody to see those because we've always had some durable bags, but I mean these ones are just. I think we kind of hit it. These are kind of next level.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them.
Yeah.
Well, we're rolling on about an hour 15, so we need to get some final thoughts. Hey, I can't judge you for that.
We're going to have to do this again with the other stuff coming
in
later.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
With the big honkers and the bags and all that stuff coming in
ducks.
later.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, the floating ducks.
Yeah. I want to see that too. So what are your final thoughts here? What do you want to leave people with when you're talking about final approach and kind of where it's headed?
I just want everybody to know that we're kind of, I'm not going to scream like we're back and we're doing this. Like I just really want everybody to know that waterfowl people, like crazy, diehard, fanatical, lunatic waterfowl hunters own this company. And I am one of them that gets to work here. So the folks that are involved in this company are just as bananas about chasing ducks and geese, like that I could point you in the direction of. There's a lot of companies with all the corporations and everything that's kind of gone on in the past few years in the hunting industry, and some of it's gotten watered down because somebody's calling, like say the company is public and you got to answer to some shareholders. Well, you just can't do something. You say, hey, we're going to change the spec decoy and put a new head on it. Oh, that's going to cost us money. You're not going to do that. That's going to take our margin down, and we can't do
Shareholders don't want to do that. They don't.
No, they don't care. But it's like, but the spec doesn't look right. The head's all messed up. It makes the decoy look like crap. Yeah, we don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to get across. Like this company is going back to its roots of making stuff for waterfowl hunters by waterfowl hunters. There's no, fighting the system and I don't work for the man, none of that stuff. This is like true waterfowl hunters making waterfowl products, and we're going to do everything we can to make some cool stuff, get you the best prices and the best products we can make, and if you haven't tried it, or you tried FA and you didn't like something, or something turned you off, the only thing I could say is from if you see the blue logo from here on out, and if you try something, if something's wrong, you can call me and we'll figure it out, because I get enough trust in what we're doing that I don't think we're going to have issues. We're going to make some really great stuff for great people who share the same crazy passion that we're all in.
Absolutely. Chandler, final thoughts?
I really dig that old shadowgrass pattern.
Yep.
That'll have to be a layout line that I'll have in my arsenal, along with the Goosebusters and stuff. But that pattern is sweet.
We got a spot with that one for you. We're in.
Yeah.
We took a spot in the trailer or in the truck. Yeah, I'm up with that. I like that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the HD full body honkers.
Yes, I'm pumped about that coming too, and
because if they look as good as these lessers, they're going to be definitely a sweet, very realistic looking decoy.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'd say my final thoughts are the same thing. The new blinds look awesome. Like Chandler said, I'm going to copycat what he said. That Eliminator in the original Shadowgrass is phenomenal, and the new decoys, the vast improvement of how much lighter they are. I think that's what really gets me. The paint job is a lot better, but I mean, they're so much lighter. The material seems a lot better too. So I'm excited to see the changes that are taking place.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. So
I'm all about it.
It is. It's really cool. So, and I can really appreciate which direction you're like you said, you're going back to the roots, and you've got the core waterfowler in mind, and really looking after them and kind of what they want, and trying to get away from the changes that might have not taken things in the direction.
Right. And it's the passion and the tradition. It's not about. Listen, I love killing birds and piling them up just like anybody else. Like I love waterfowl hunting, but it's the tradition that drives me. Like I love it so much. If I could only shoot one bird a day or whatever the case may be, I would still go and still do it. And me and the dog would go, because that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? And we just got to take care of the sport and do what we can. That's another thing I'd leave everybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just respect the sport and do what you can to help the sport.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, on that note, let's wrap it up. I think we're done.